Where do you go from the top? How do you follow up a smash hit? Oklahoma was such a success that the Theater Guild suggested another regional period piece they had produced. But some critics said, after that super success with Oklahoma, what should you do next, Mr. Rogers? Just shoot yourself. Lilium was set in Budapest, one of the great cultural metropolises of the late 19th century. In 1900, it had a year-round circus under a tent where Ferenc Molnar set his tragic 1909 morality play. About life, death, and the afterlife. How opposites attract. A sweet girl and a misfit man. Lillian's name was intentionally ironic. A flower's name for a tough guy, Lily. He's almost saved from his fatal flaws by love and expectant fatherhood. Patrice and I take these presentations seriously, so last year we saw Budapest, where its historic park had featured the fabulous Carousel of Molnar's setting. A Budapest musical? World War II took the romance out of European settings for musicals. The Theater Guild suggested New Orleans. No, said Oscar Hammerstein. He refused. He once bombed with a 6-week play called Sunny River set in New Orleans. He wanted no more French dialogue full of Z's and Zo's. Richard Rogers liked New England. I think he owned property there. It had clam bakes, amusement parks, fishermen on shore leave for a hornpipe, a little old schoolhouse graduation. Carousel became Richard Rogers' favorite. It's like a new genre, blending delightful musical comedy with passionate classical opera. It's a ballet. It's about the music and the dance. Like ballet, there are no words to speak of. It was a revolutionary approach, swirling activity, riveting our attention on Julie, who shows up and stands in shocking stillness and watches Billy the Barker, while the dance and music swirl around her. She's watching him draw crowds from the other act's barkers. He catches his eye. He freezes. Together they look each other while all the activity still swirls around them. She almost misses the ride when his jealous boss lady delays letting her have a ticket. But he scoops her up and puts her on the carousel horse. Amidst the hustle and bustle of the latecomers in a theater setting, getting seated and rattling seats and drowning out some of the important first words, it's no problem. No words are spoken for the whole first scene, about 10 minutes. And the curtain goes down. Mrs. Mullen confronts Julie to never set foot in her carousel again. She's jealous of Billy. Letting my Barker fool with you. Leaned against her all through the ride. Police won't like it. Billy comes and asks, what's wrong? So what if he'd put his arm around Julie's waist? She fires him on the spot. Julie stays quiet while Billy marches off to get his stuff. Her friend Carrie wonders, Julie, you're as tight-lipped as an oyster, as silent as an old Sahara sphinx. Sphinx, huh? Sphinx. Sphinx. No, y'all, you spell it with an X. Well, that's when there's more than one. Apparently, Julie got outbluffed. Carrie leaves. Julie stays and talks with Billy. She suspects she's done this before, but she hasn't. She's an innocent. A cop comes by and says she should move on. They see her boss, who says he'll give her a ride home. She refuses. Billy doesn't understand why the cop's words about him didn't scare her. Later she says, I'm never going to marry. If I did, I'd have to be a stickler. I'm never going to marry, and I won't have to be particular. That's a good tactic. Suppose I was to say I'd marry you. You? Scares you, don't it? Think about what the cop said. No, I ain't never paid no mind to what he said. But you wouldn't marry anyone like me, would you? Yes, I would, if I loved you. It wouldn't make any difference which you, even if I died for it. How do you know what you'd do if you loved me? Or how you'd feel or anything? I know how I'd feel if I loved you. But you don't. No, I don't. But somehow I can see just exactly how it'd be. If I loved you, time and again I would try to say all I'd want you to know. If I loved you, words wouldn't come in an easy way. Round in circles I'd go, longing to tell you, but afraid and shy. I'd let my golden chances pass me by. Soon you'd leave me, off you would go in the mist of day, never, never to know how I loved you if I loved you. They talk about the stars, the sky, and conventional he'd be in a dicky and tie. He sings it all back to her. Same words, actually sounding more like me than I did like her just then. Billy, I'm not a feller to marry anybody. Even if a girl was foolish enough to want me to, I wouldn't. Don't worry about it, Billy. Who's worried? He looks straight ahead, troubled. She looks patient. He kisses her. They seem to have a good relationship, except for him sulking without a job. He even hits her for asking why he doesn't at least go back to the Carousel. Instead, spends time with his sleazy pal Jigger, who has illicit plans for getting money. There's a more conventional love story of Julie's best friend, Carrie, who tells her all about when I marry Mr. Snow. She'd clammed up about him until Julie also had a beau. He's a fisherman, comes home every night with a boat full of fish. He's almost perfect. But the first time she kissed him, she almost passed out from the smell of fish. But now that I love him, my heart's in my nose and fish is my favorite perfume. He's got his life all planned. Buy more boats, build an empire on sardines. And each year have a baby and fill the house. She says, I love that big, overbearing, darling Mr. Snow. Meanwhile, the village is preparing for a real fine clam bake. And June is busting out all over the meadow and the hill. Buds are busting out of bushes and the roaming river pushes every little wheel that wheels beside a mill. June is busting out all over. The saplings are busting out with sap. Love has found my brother Junior and my sister's even loonier and my ma's getting kittenish with pap. Because it's June, just because it's June, June, June. Well, Mrs. Mullen, the runner of the Carousel, shows up wanting Billy to come back to the Carousel. He hears it every night and admires the tone of her new Carousel organ. He might think about it and still go on living here with Julie. Holy Moses, can you imagine how the girls would love that? A barker who goes home every night to his wife? Sounds like the police maybe had it right about her. Julie tries to interrupt with something that she needs to tell him. alone. Get out of here, I'm talking business. No, it'll only take a minute. Mrs. Mullen excuses herself for a few minutes. Don't look at me like that. I ain't afraid of you. I ain't afraid of nobody. Well then, tell me quick. I can't tell it so quick. Why don't you drink your coffee? Is that what you wanted to tell me? Well, no, by the time you drink it, I'll have told you. Yesterday my head ached and you asked me, yes, you sick? No, it's nothing like that. It's awful hard to tell you. I'm not a bit scared because it's a perfectly natural thing. What is it? Well, when two people live together, yes, I'm going to have a baby. She turns away. He sits stunned, rises, crosses to her, puts his arms around her. She leans her head on his shoulder. His world just changed. As she leaves, Jigger shows up. Hey, Jigger! Julie! Julie's gonna have a baby! Yeah, what about it? Nothing. My mother had a baby once. I'm sure he was enough for her. Mrs. Mullen shows up with an advance to get him back. She tells Jigger to stay away from Billy. Doesn't want him getting a bullet like the Roberts boy did last year. Jigger exits smugly. Billy is a changed man. You still here, Ms. Mullen? She told me I'm going to be a father. You a father? He pushes her out for laughing and kicks her in the bustle on the way. Sometimes dads get serious when finally expecting. That reminds me, once Patrice came by the office and waited in the parking lot to tell me about her doctor's appointment. I recall being very comforting. Telling her, it's all right, dear, we'll be fine, you'll be a wonderful mom. While thinking on the inside, oh boy, hot diggity dog. After thinking about it, he sings. I wonder what he'll think of me. I guess he'll call me the old man. I guess he'll think I can lick every other feller's father. Well, I can. I bet he'll turn out to be the spitting image of his dad. But he'll have more common sense than his puddin'-headed father ever had. My boy Bill, I will see that he's named after me. I will. My boy Bill, he'll be tall and as tough as a tree. Will Bill, like a tree he'll grow with his head held high and his feet planted firm on the ground. And you won't see nobody dare to try to boss him or toss him around. No pot-belly, baggy-eyed bully will boss him around. He might be champ of the heavyweights, or a feller who sells you glue, or president of the United States. That'd be all right too. His mother would like that. But he wouldn't be president unless he wanted to be, not Bill. Why am I going on like this? My kid ain't even been born yet. I can see him when he's 17 or so and starting to go out with a girl. I can give him lots of pointers, very sound, on the way to get round any girl. I can tell him, wait a minute, could it be? What if he is a girl? Bill, oh Bill. What would I do with her? What could I do for her? A bum with no money? You can have fun with the son, but you gotta be a father to a girl. I got to get ready before she comes. I got to make certain that she won't be dragged up in slums with a lot of bums like me. She's got to be sheltered and fed and dressed in the best that money can buy. I never knew how to get money, but I try. I'll try. I'll go out and make it or steal it or take it or die. And this sets up the rest of the story. Next scene. Hey, Billy, what's this about you not going to the clam bake? Maybe I will go after all. Jigger has a plan to make some money by robbing a payroll delivery man. And Billy will need money for the baby, so he has Billy swipe a knife when he fetches Julie Shaw, only she sees him get it. Well, they have a real nice clam bake and sing all about it, demonstrating great New England coastal traditions, company, codfish chowder, red-hot lobsters. There's a treasure hunt that Billy and Jigger plan to miss while they seek the real treasure carried by a payroll delivery man. During the treasure hunt, Jigger does a poor job of hiding out at the clam bake when he makes an ardent pass at Carrie in the woods. Rebuffed, he tries another track, saying he just wants to show her wrestling moves on how to ward off a stubborn suitor. Mr. Snow is calmly outraged when he finds her over Jigger's shoulder. Next scene. Jigger and Billy talk the plan, kill some time playing cards, waiting the delivery man. Billy doesn't know blackjack. Jigger helps out a lot. Billy gets way behind. A few double or nothings, and Billy owes Jigger all the potential winnings for the crime they're about to commit. I'm afraid he's not too bright. They tried to bushwhack the courier, who, incidentally, had already made his delivery. And he gets the drop on them. As police come, Jigger gets away, and Billy is trapped atop a pile of crates and falls, stabbing himself. He dies in Julie's arms, speaking of his dream of taking them to San Francisco. Julie says, "Sleep, Billy, sleep. Sleep peaceful, like a good boy. I knew why you hit me. You were quick-tempered and unhappy. I always knew everything you were thinking." I know some people like that. "But you didn't always know what I was thinking. One thing I never told you, scared you to laugh at me. I'll tell you now." Even now, she has to make an effort to overcome her shyness in saying, "I love you. I love you. I love you." "I was always ashamed to say it out loud, but now I said it, didn't I?" She removes her shawl and puts it over him. Her friend Nettie says, "Stay with me until the baby comes. Keep on living and remember the words on that sampler I gave you. Sing them now and see if you know what they mean. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the..." She stops, sobbing. Nettie sings, "When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone." She sang a little high for me. Julie and Nettie kneel in prayer, and two heavenly friends enter and cross over to Billy. The first one, "Get up, Billy." "Huh? Get up. Who are you?" "Shake yourself up. Got to get going." Billy looks around. "Where?" Never mind where. Important thing is you can't stay here. He turns left and sees Julie. The lights go off at Julie. She can't hear you. Who decided that? You did when you killed yourself. I see, so it's over. Ain't as simple as that. As long as there's one person on earth who remembers you, it isn't over. That thought was echoed in the animated movie Coco this last year, all about the Day of the Dead. What are you going to do with me? We aren't going to do anything. We just came to take you to the judge. Am I going before the Lord God himself? What have you ever done that you should come before him? So that's it. Just like Jigger said, no Supreme Court for little people, just pearlite magistrates. He meets the Star Keeper. He's not going through the pearly gates, but the back gate. Is there anything you left unfinished on earth? You can go back there for a day, if you want to. I don't know. As long as I'm here, I might as well stay. Waves his right to go back. Why'd you beat her? Well, we'd argue and say, she'd say this and I'd say that, and she'd be right, so I'd hit her. Are you sorry you hit her? Ain't sorry for anything. So far, Billy hasn't done enough good even to go into the back door of heaven. But he might be able to, by going back to earth for a day, to try to help his daughter, who at 15 becomes a lot like him, restless and stubborn, probably while he was in purgatory. If she ain't happy, I don't want to go. But look here, look. For now, she's having a good time on the beach. Got her shoes and stockings off and running like I used to. He goes down, sees her rejected from a fancy party and by a guy very much like he had been. I hate you all. Why did you make me look? You wanted to. I know what she's going through. Somebody ought to help her. Ah, yeah, offer's still open. The first heavenly friend enters to guide Billy down. Billy swipes the star to take with him. They pretend not to notice. He sees his daughter Louise talking with Enoch Snow Jr. She wants to be an actress, run off with a feller and a group coming through next week. They argue. Billy is asked for her to be able to see him. Tells her stories about her dad. She says Julie told her that he'd gone off to San Francisco. He offers her a present, the star he swiped from heaven. She refuses, and he slaps her hand hard. She runs out. Julie runs in. Don't let me see her. Okay. But Julie sees the star, and I think she saw a sparkle. She learns that the slap didn't even hurt. She knows he is there. Billy requests an extension to see her graduation. At least Enoch Snow Jr. is nice to her. Town doctor gives the talk. And boy, he looks just like the Star Keeper. Funny thing. Well, I brought you into this world, and I hope that now I got you this far, you'll turn out to be worth all the trouble I went to. I can't tell you anyway sure to happiness. All I know is you got to go out and find it yourselves. It's like we used to sing every morning when I went to school. When you walk through the storm, keep your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Billy says, I've loved you, Julie. Know that I loved her. I loved you. Her face lights up, and she starts singing with them. All through this, Billy whispers into Louise's ear, believe him, darling, believe. Walk on with hope in your heart. You'll never walk alone. Louise moves closer to the group, and a girl on her right puts her arm around her. You'll never walk alone. Well, now it's your turn. You have the handouts, you have the words. We're going to sing that song, and maybe I'll try to be Billy doing a little prompting. When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. Believe him, darling, believe. At the end of the storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of a lark. I loved you, Julie. I loved you. Walk on through the wind. Walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Carousel has been listed by Time magazine as the best musical of the 20th century. It was certainly Richard Rodgers' favorite. He washed it with a musical score that captured the time and the place, with Oscar Hammerstein's libretto capturing the angst and tragedy of Ferenc Molnar's play, Lilium. That play had reflected the perilous times of the early 1900s in Europe, as Budapest crashed from one of the great educational and artistic metropolises in the world with rapid inflation, when gentry took over the metropolis as civil servants with authority, security, pensions, prejudice, and jealousy of the successful, especially brilliant Jews. He wrote about the brilliant older Hungary, like Ferenc Molnar, who escaped to New York City in 1940, just in time before World War II, and lived the rest of his life at the Plaza Hotel in New York City, right at the end of Central Park, writing plays and movie scripts. Patrice and I plan, just as a follow-up, of course, to go see it in a couple of weeks in New York City. I grew up listening to musicals on Mom's records all the time. She used to come to these and just filled my head with it. And so my head's full of music, and I'm always wanting to sing stuff. And then when I've heard it once or twice and sung it once or twice, I then try to change up all the words and make them silly. See if I can put a permanent grin on Patrice's face, but sometimes I get the opposite.
He made up a lot of songs for the kids.
Did you rewrite it by Lucky?
No,
I haven't done that one yet.
I remember, what was it about the robotic thing? What is it? For Will. I can't think of the name of it.
I don't know. I used to rip off. I sometimes say Weird Al Yankovic stole my shtick. And so I would take like John Denver's song about the hawk and the eagle, the swirling, soaring hawk and the eagle, and I changed it around just a little bit for Victoria. I am the baby, I prowl the low places. To enter my world, you must crawl on the floor. Together we'll search under chairs, under tables, for old gum that someone has chewed on before.
The song you did for Will was about, they sing and dance. What was that?
I'm not sure. The Transformers?
Transformers.
Oh, he hated that.
I know.
It's like, Transformers were really tough, cool
Sing a song.
machines. And so I'd sing,
Transformers, see them sing and dance. Bum, 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 da-dum. Transformers, see them split their pants. And he said, they don't sing, they don't dance, and they don't have pants.
We've had fun.
So when I heard that we were going to have Will, I was definitely, oh boy. I see a lot of, parallels here. There's
You're not like
Bill and Billy, and
well,
I'm
yeah.
Bill and Willie, and
Yeah, but you knew that.
he grew up to be Will. My boy Will actually is a half-inch taller than me. And does a lot more weightlifting than I do.
So are we
But
done?
I can still whoop him at swimming.